Hello, chess family. It's me, National Master Jesse James. Forgive me, I'm getting over a little sore throat over here, but I'm going to do my best. We're doing a recap of Labor Day's 2022 tournament. Yeah, let's check out the highlights. Here in the first game, we're going to be seeing Streetcar versus Andrew Smith, one of the National Masters here in San Antonio. Well, he used to be, I think now he's living out in Corpus Christi area, but he's still joining our tournaments from now on now. With that being said, Andrew was playing the black side of this and plays well. Well, a very fun opening here, the Schliemann attack, and poor Streetcar did not know what to do. Let's check it out. Here we go, e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5. Here, Streetcar is more than happy to go into a Ruy Lopez. Fortunately for him, f5 gets played, and here we go, the Schliemann defense. A very aggressive way to play against the Ruy Lopez. And I will say, if I did play e5, I would definitely be playing the Schliemann quite a few times if I did play it. I play Sicilian these days. So d3 gets played. Definitely one of the top moves to play in these positions. And you'll see later on in my game, I actually played pawn to d4 just to try and throw things off. Knight f6 got played, knight c3, bishop c5. Here, I mean, white just has a very good position. Here's where a lot of people will go wrong. They play something like bishop g5. Basically, here is actually the time to take on the pawn here on f5. And here it's just +1 position, and well, I mean, I guess people might be worried about the d5 move, but if you d5 now, knight takes e5, and you're just up another clean pawn here, and with just a better position. That being said, Streetcar goes ahead and plays bishop g5, pawn d6, bishop takes, queen takes. This is definitely something that, you know, these players are very happy about. They've just got the bishop pair, and they're going to be opening up the f-file pretty soon to get an attack down the f-file. Knight d5 got played to attack the queen. Queen wisely retreats back to d8. Castles over here, and this is just castling right into the attack. Now black has a huge advantage. And, well, Mr. Smith here does not give any kind of chances to save this game. Queen d2, and this was a bad move here. Black to move and win. Well, actually, I'm sorry. a6 got played. Bishop a4 got played, and now it's going to be black to move and win. Can you find the winning combination here? Feel free to push pause if you like. All right, for those just enjoying the show, check this beautiful attack out. Here we start off with changing pawns, right? F takes e4, D takes on e4, and this is the move that you had to spot. Rook takes on f3. It doesn't look too hard if you do it on the move, but 2 moves in, maybe you'll miss the pawn takes and then rook takes. And after pawn takes here, there's quite a few different ways to win here, but we start off with the good move, knight d4 attacking the f3 pawn, which is, well, harder to defend than most people would think. King g2 got played here, which was not the best way to defend the pawn. Poor Streetcar here probably just got a little bit intimidated and falls very fast. Queen h4, and there's really no good way to stop this. h3, and if f3 falls, you know, everything goes downhill. Rook h1 got played, and now it's mate in 2. Check. Mate. Oof. It's a rough first round for Streetcar. Let's go ahead and check out our next game. This one was Matthew Ortiz versus a local favorite, Alfredo Garcia. And, yeah, this was a really interesting game. Matthew's a good 200 points higher than him, but Matthew did not have a good tournament. And, yeah, he ends up withdrawing pretty soon. And this was his first round, and I can understand him not being too happy with his gameplay. At this point, he just drops a piece for no good reason. So we start up with e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, another Ruy Lopez here. Alfredo plays the Morphy defense, a6, bishop a4, pawn b5, bishop b3. A little off right here, but that's okay. Knight f6, castles. Bishop e3, rook e1, castles, pawn to a4, a very common way to try and attack on the queen side over here. Rook b8, pawn c3, let's build up this strong center. And, well, Alfredo goes for it. He plays pawn to d5. It looks like it's an idea that is the Marshall attack, although maybe it's a little bit off here with the placement of the pieces. With that being said, the best way to beat a gambit is to accept it, so he goes ahead and takes, and knight takes on e5. Knight takes, rook takes, a nice little tempo here against the knight, and knight goes back to f6. Now this is not a very typical move. Most of the time in these kind of lines, they play something like pawn c6 with the idea of bishop d6. Seems like Alfredo has a new idea in mind here and plays knight f6 here. Pawn d4, of course, bishop d6, very standard, rook to e1, and now this knight to g4. Here there is a very, very strong attacking chances now, and maybe this is what Alfredo was looking for. In fact, well, the best move here is going to be losing a pawn. And here, Matthew plays pawn to g3. Can you find out black's move here to keep the attack going? Feel free to push pause. All right, here we go. Knight takes on h2, believe it or not. If king takes on h2, well, of course, we go queen h4 check, king g2, and now the queen and bishops do a great job here. Queen h3 check, king g1, and of course bishop takes on g3 here. And it's pretty much game over here, as there's really no good response with h2 and f2 threatening the mate. If you take, well, the take is a mistake. Queen takes g3 check, and anywhere the king goes to, there's going to be temples for the light squares, and once the bishop gets in there, unfortunately this king is just too bare, and the game ends pretty fast here. Alright, back to the game. After g3 got played, knight takes h2. I give full credit to Matthew. He holds his ground pretty well here. Even though this looks like a very crushing attack here for black, there is some chances here for white. It's only negative 0.5. I mean, that's if computer is playing computer, right? That being said, humans get very emotional. We're not too sure what to do here. And again, credit to Matthew for holding the game as long as he does. He plays queen h5 here. Knight jumps back to g4. Bishop to g5. And knight to f6. The knight makes it back here. Now the game is supposed to be about even here, but this is where Matthew just drops a piece. After this knight f6 move, you should just move your queen. You know, something like queen h4 is just good enough, but fortunately, knight to d2, and, well, knight takes on h5, and now black is just winning here. The rest of the game is, we'll just run through it real quick. Bishop takes, rook takes, pawn takes, rook takes. Matthew does a very good job on keeping this game as hard as possible for Alfredo. So Alfredo does have a little bit of trouble converting, but he is able to convert the game here pretty nicely. Knight to d5, bishop takes, bishop takes. The bishop pair is definitely looking well here. Bishop d2, rook takes on b2. Nothing to worry about for black. The back rank is very well defended, and he's just going to continue attacking. Rook a1, bishop c3, and here he's just picking off the pawns nice and slowly here. It was kind of a hard task for him to well, maybe not hard task, it's just going to take some time, and sometimes the games are like that. You see Alfredo does a very good job on making all these little moves, and Matthew did not want to resign, so he plays it all the way out. God bless him. check, and Alfredo does it nice and slow here. Very nice game from Alfredo. Got a nice upset. All right, next game we have, again, the Master versus another local favorite, Martin Gordon. Let's see how this game goes. I remember after this, Marty came to me and said, Andrew's on his game, or as we like to call him, Andy. And Andy's very, very strong. And I agree, Andy's a very good attacking player. Our game was very interesting. All right, e4, d5, d4. He loves to play this gambit line. It's like the Blackmore-Deemer gambit. Pawn takes f5. And bishop g5, a very interesting move. Most of the time, I usually see this. I'll see pawn to f3, although bishop f4 looks like the most popular move at this point. Bishop g5 got played, knight f6, f3 now, h6, and this is exactly what we want. Now we're going to go ahead and take. Now, well, and this, I will say, Andy's done a great job with his opening preparation, because even when I played him, I wasn't too sure what to expect or what the best moves were. And unfortunately for Marty, it's already, 7 moves in, and Marty already is, he gambled a pawn, and he's already up in material. He's already +1 advantage. F takes, g6. You can just look at these pawns and say the king side's not going to be good for quite a while here. Bishop c4, bishop b4, pawn takes, queen e7 check, knight ge2. Move I'd like to play. Bishop takes, pawn takes. I'm sure Marty was happy about giving the double pawns here. Although as an attacking player here, I'd be very happy for white in this position. Bishop takes, castles. Knight c6, rook b1, saying if you do castle queenside, just be careful. I've already got some pieces aimed this way. The bishop's doing a great job by holding this king in the center as far as castling kingside. Not that I would really want to castle, but, I most likely would just castle here queenside just because, well, where else are you going to go? Knight a5 got played. Try not to make too many moves when your king's in the center here, and this is exactly what happens. Bishop d3, check. King h1, bishop takes, pawn takes. They say pots receives check, pots gives check. Unfortunately for Marty, I think this was definitely the case. And yeah, white already has a +3 advantage because going kingside or queenside at this point is just bad for him. He castles kingside, and let's watch how a master attacker takes advantage of all these weaknesses. I mean, look at all these pawns. They're all nice and juicy here. Knight f4, putting a little pressure on the g6 pawn. Queen e8, queen g4. Now we got a nice little developing thread right here. g5, what are we going to do here? Knight to d5, keep making threats. Knight takes a f6, knight takes on c7. I even like rook ae1 there. But, winning positions, there's lots of different ways to win. Queen d8, queen f5. A nice move here, not only defending the knight, but also looking to jump in the g6. If you jump in the g6, it's just going to be game over. King G7, Rook AE1. All the pieces are now developed, and they're all doing work. And poor Marty really has nothing else to do. It's already a plus 0.8 advantage, saying White's basically up a queen here. Here we go. Knight C6 gets played. Rook to E6. Here the weakness was the F6 pawn, and it goes down without a fight. Rook F7. Knight takes on F6. Rook takes. King H8, and now it was just checkmate in 2 here. For some reason, though, he goes ahead and plays Rook F8. Here winning the rook and just trading out to a winning endgame. I don't know, maybe Rook F7 was played and maybe the DGTs were just off here. Although the force mate in 2 here is just Rook takes H6 check, and it doesn't matter where the king goes to, Queen H7 is going to be made here. Alright, on to the next game. Here we're going to be having Alfredo versus Bruce, one of our new players here, that at least that I've seen. Maybe he's been here for a while. Alright, here we go. Alfredo's playing with the white pieces. This is a really cool game with a king side attack. With the opposite side castling. So I believe in this game, Alfredo goes queen side and Bruce goes king side. And so, well, the attack is who can get there first. Here we go. We go E4, C5, knight F3, knight C6, D4, C takes, knight takes, D6, C4. He loves to play his Marazzi bind, and I don't blame him. Marazzi bind is a very good way to play against Sicilians. Knight F6, knight C3, A6, F3, E6, bishop E3, bishop E7, queen to D2, castles, and this is very, very controversial move here because typically whenever you're playing the Marazzi bind, you just castle kingside because you have all the extra space. Well, Alfredo's a new type of breed saying, you know what, I'm going to take the extra space and I'm still going to attack you. Here we go. Bishop D7 gets played, king B1, queen C7, and bishop B2. Both sides have pretty much developed all their pieces. Now we're going to see them try to attack. Knight E5, attacking the C4 pawn. Rook C1 here, a nice little trick, and black just plays Rook AC8. For those wondering, why can't we take the pawn? You can, I just don't recommend it, as after knight takes, bishop takes C4, queen takes C4, white to move and win. Do you see it? Well, hopefully you do. There's actually a few different moves here to win. I would have probably played the standard knight D5 here, and the idea here is that the queen's being attacked, and also the knight is attacking this bishop. So you're going to end up winning the queen, most likely for 2 pieces. So pawn takes, rook takes, and pawn takes, and although you did get 2 pieces for it, there's too many weaknesses here and the pieces are not very well coordinated. That being said, the computer's even meaner here and says, you know what, after this knight takes, queen takes C4, here you just simply play knight C E2, and then you say, where does this queen move to? And then you realize things are not so good here. Here, there's only one safe square for the queen. The queen has to jump to A4, B3, queen A3, and, well, the queen is successfully going to be harassed for a few more moves. Knight C2, and that's it for the queen. The queen has nowhere to move to. Very impressive way to trap the queen here. Actually, I'll probably be making that a puzzle. Anyways, the game continued with rook A to C8, pawn G4, knight G6, H4, E5, and this is terrible because E5, when it gets played, now makes F5 and D5 great squares, and so, well, let's jump in there. Knight F5, bishop takes, E takes. I definitely would have been looking to play with G takes F5, opening up the G file. With that being said, the computer actually does prefer this E takes F5 idea. Alright, knight takes, and this looks like an interesting idea. It's just not the best way to play this. After rook takes knight E4, this was the idea. Well, I'm going to get 2 pieces for it, plus I get the open file to attack. So, and this is exactly how Alfredo wins. Knight takes, and here another mean move by Alfredo. Pawn G5 saying, you know what? Your bishop is now trapped. Pawn to F6, easy move here. G6, of course. We're going to open up this H file. It does give an escape square for the bishop, but your king side's just too weak now. Queen C6. If anybody's wondering what happens if this F5 move, well, queen D5 check gets played. King H8. I guess you could block with the rook. And after rook H1, it's game over here. It's going to be forced checkmates whether you want to or not. Queen E7. Bishop G5 might be the most forcing move you can do here. Alright, back to the game. Queen C6 got played, stopping queen to D5 check. Rook H1 still. F5. Knight takes on D6. Man, Alfredo played a great tournament. Rook to D8. Pawn C5. And pawn B5. Trying to stop this bishop to B5 check here. This is really cool here. In fact, the computer gives a force mate in 7 here. And, well, Alfredo does get a winning position. Here, the amazing combination that I saw was bishop C4 check, B takes C4, and now rook takes H4. The idea being rook H8 check with the queen sliding over to get the checkmate. And there's really no good way to respond to this. Black's best move here is queen E4 check, so you can guess how great that position is. Anyways, back to the game. After pawn b5, Alfredo simply just takes the rook because he's a human. Rook takes the bishop because he's human. Pawn f4, bishop g1, rook f6, queen c2 holding on to the pawn, but also the same idea is to play queen b3 check again. Here black played rook d7, missing the idea, and after queen b3 check, it's just going to be game over now. All right, on to the next game. I finally get my game against Mr. Smith over here. All right, I'm playing with the white pieces, so I went e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5. Another Ruy Lopez. I did not know that he had played the Schliemann attack, or else I would have definitely, maybe not have played this line against him. Although things did work out nicely, it was still a bit intimidating to play over the board. Here we go, Schliemann, f5 gets played. Knight c3 here. I knew knight c3 was not the best move, but I liked it just because, well, I knew most people were going to be playing d3 against him. So I went knight c3 here, knight f6, and then I went d4. Now this actually is not the best move in the position. With that being said, Andy makes a mistake and does not play the best here. Here he went ahead and played knight takes, e takes, and this was the mistake. I think e takes, queen takes. I think here he's just supposed to play f takes e4. Unfortunately, he played pawn c6 now, and now it's white to move and get a better position. Here it didn't take me long. I was very excited to play this move. Pawn to e5, attacking the knight. At this point, there really is no more good moves here for Mr. Smith now. What did he play? Well, he went ahead and just played knight e4 here, giving up a pawn. There's really not too many things else to do. If pawn takes on b5, I simply take on f6. I mean, if you want these double pawns in this endgame, you're more than welcome to take them. After knight takes b5, yeah, I was very confident in this endgame that I was just going to be, winning. So that's why he went ahead and sacrificed with knight e4. I mean, the only other move to play is something like, I guess, knight g8, and that's just not going to feel any good. Bishop c4, you can see that this is really strong. Oof, yeah, things were just not going too well after the e5 move. Knight e4, knight takes, pawn takes, bishop c4, pawn d5, pawn takes on d6, bishop takes on d6, and queen takes on g7. This is a +5 advantage. With that being said, I am not happy with the way I played this. This was not a smooth conversion, and he definitely shows that he's still a very good endgame player, like most good attacking players are, and he's able to fight back to equal position, if not winning later on. Rook f8. I played bishop d2. Definitely not the move in this position. I was supposed to play queen takes h7. I just didn't want to do this because I really wanted to castle and I really wanted to punish this king in the center. With that being said, now I'm the one who's going to get punished. Bishop d2, queen f6. Well, nothing better than just to trade queens. Queen takes, rook takes, bishop b3, pawn b5, bishop b2, bishop b5. I went ahead and castled here. Bishop e6, king b1, a6, pawn c3, and this is already a sort of a bad plan here. Yeah, I just was never able really to figure this out. Although he's down a pawn, his pieces are so active here, and it was really hard for me to get out of this. Bishop d5, rook c1. I want to play c4 now. So he wisely played this rook b8 move. C4 cannot really get played now, as after rook takes b2 check, well, I might as well just resign. So I played b3 to prepare it. a5 now, king c2, a4, and now I've pretty much lost my full advantage here. I played rook to b1, rook a8. Now the threat is pawn takes, rook check, and this is not so good for me because b4 will be coming in the future. And I can't really move this bishop because the rook will be putting pressure over here. Here I felt so much pressure here. And I did play the best move here, which is really weird move, but here I played rook to b2. The reason why this is weird is because there's a lot of ideas with pawn b4 being played. With that being said, he wisely did not play the pawn b4. After this, I've only got winning chances. Pawn takes, check, check, bishop takes, king takes, and here, well, I can pretty much target the pawn. These pawns over here, I'll create a pass pawn later on, so it's a +1 advantage here for white. He did not go into this. Instead, he played king d7, rook d1, king c7, and unfortunately, he blunders again with another pawn. White to move. Simple chess right here. What do you play right here? Here he played king c7 a little too fast and allowed me bishop takes b5. After a takes, he just went ahead and resigned as well. I'm just up an extra clean pawn here, and he could try to win over here with the pawn, but this doesn't do too much. After rook takes, c takes b5. I have rook takes b5 here. I have rook to d5 here. There's a lot of different ways for me to continue here, but either way, this was going to be a very easy endgame for me to play. All right, on to the next game. It's now Martin versus James Huddleston. James was also playing this tournament. This is one of the first games that he gets featured over here. He does a very nice game against poor Marty. Here we go. Huddleston's playing with the black pieces, and Marty's playing with the white ones. Knight f3, d5, c4, c6, b3, knight f6, bishop b2, bishop f5, g3, knight to d7, bishop g2, e6. It looks like he's playing very, very solid, both sides. Castles, bishop d6, d3. Castles, knight b to d2, queen c7, rook c1, queen to b6, and pawn takes on d5. Here we're finally ready to open up the game. C takes d5, pawn to e4. Interesting move here. It looks like this is tactically based, and the bishop goes to g4 here. Does anybody see why you should not take on e4 here? All right, hopefully you saw it. If C takes D takes on e4 here, white's winning a piece. D takes e4. And if you play knight takes, well, here we have the beautiful knight c4 here, forking these pieces. And we'll just be removing the defender pretty soon here. After queen a6, there's knight h4 to get rid of this bishop, which means you can get rid of this knight, which means you can win the bishop over here. And so, yeah, black is just in a losing situation now. And if you do play something like, I don't know, what's the other move? Pawn takes, like bishop g6 here. Don't take the pawn. Well, here again, knight c4 gets played, and there's even e5 ideas in the future. All right, back to the game. Here, he wisely did not lose a piece. He played bishop to g4. h3, bishop takes, bishop takes on g3. This is actually not the game between Marty versus Huddleston. Huddleston's playing the white pieces here, and this is against streetcar. Sorry, the names on here are wrong. So bishop takes on g3. Here, I was watching the game, and streetcar won a pawn here with this mischievous little bishop takes g3. Unfortunately for him, he is not able to bounce back. He played pawn d4 here, and I was expecting bishop f4, or at least d takes on e4 here for streetcar. Unfortunately here, he played bishop f4, and now I'm pretty sure Huddleston was more than happy to play pawn e5, closing out the position. Knight e4. Definitely not the move I would have thought to be played here. I can understand him trying to play it, but I don't think there's any reason to give these double ones. I think he was hoping that after takes, he could get pawn e3 in. Huddleston does not let that happen. Knight c4, beautiful move. Now e3 is covered. And look, that's nice jumping to this great d6 square. Again, black is in a winning position here because of the extra pawn. But these positions are very hard to play, especially against those that are higher rated. Streetcar is around 1700. And as you guys can see, Huddleston is actually 1900. Queen d8, rook c3. Queen g5 check, king h1. Pawn to f6. Rook g1. Here things got to start to get a little bit nasty for streetcar. Queen h6, queen g4. Takes d5, pawn takes, and queen takes on d7. Rook to d8, nice little tempo move. Queen back to g4, pawn takes, rook takes. And streetcar, again, is just doing well here. Unfortunately, he misses a little tactic here by Huddleston. Rook d6, and now it is white who is in the driving seat. Here, rook d6 looks like a good move because, well, rook g6 is coming in. If you do try to play the skewer at bishop a3, rook g6 looks like a strong move, right? Oof. Unfortunately, here the same tactic that won in the game gets played in the regular one. So let's go back to the position. Rook f6 got played, and now it's white to move and win. What do you play here? Here's the same idea as before. Bishop to a3, forcing the trade here. Oops, I kind of skipped ahead on that one. After this rook d6, rook c8 is a very good move. And here, well, you should just play the rook back to d8. Unfortunately for streetcar, he got a little too ambitious and played rook f6 because why not? But now after bishop a3, it's game over. g6, bishop takes, rook takes, queen takes e6 check, king h8, rook to d1, e3, rook to d8, and e2. And it's just going to be forced checkmate now. Queen f6 check, king g8, rook takes, queen takes, rook takes, and that's going to be mate. Well, guys, that's going to be my first installment for the Labor Day games. We'll see you in the next one.